Are you too busy, too stressed out, unhealthy? Then this is the place for you. Welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals, where we help you create wellness and balance with a holistic approach that will work for you, even with the busiest of schedules, so you can live the life you want. And now, here's your host, Diane Randall.
Welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals, the show that provides you inner tools and strategies, helping you create the life you want. Today's episode is about how to overcome your excuses and make fitness a priority in your life. If I ask you, what are your top priorities in life? How would you answer? Most people would answer by saying family and career. My guest, who is a health and fitness expert, says that everyone sees health and fitness as something that is important, but it always seems to be put off until later. We use many obstacles in our lives as excuses to why we can't make our own health a priority at the moment. We use these obstacles as validations to ourselves that it's just not in the cards for us to get in shape right now, and we all know who we are. Our fitness is always the thing we plan to get to later when we have more time, or we wait until we're sick or some trauma before we think about it again. And sometimes that's not even enough to motivate us to really take our health and fitness seriously. My guest says that the problem with this way of thinking is that the magical day we are waiting for, when all of a sudden we won't be busy anymore, that day will never come. He says it doesn't exist. This is the realization you need to make right now. There will never be a shortage of excuses. There will always be excuses you can use to skip your workout and validate going through the drive-thru. Anyone can learn to make fitness a priority in their lives. All you have to do is make a decision. My guest, Chad Austin, says it's decision time. Are you ready to overcome your excuses and make fitness a priority in your life? Or are you just too busy? He has been a professional trainer for more than 10 years, and he recently published his first book called Make Fitness a Priority: How to Win the Fight Against Your Excuses on Amazon. Welcome, Chad.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's so great to have you here to talk about this topic, because I've been perplexed about this topic my whole life. Perplexed in a way that I don't know too many people, or have I met too many people that like to work out, that feel that they're making it a part of their life because they're excited about it, even when their health is bad.
Julian Michaels, I think, is probably the most popular person I know of that says that on a regular basis, that she hates to work out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So tell us about how you got into the health and fitness business.
Well, actually, it's kind of a second career for me. I was a PE teacher for 3 years out of college, and but I just kind of stumbled across personal training, and I thought it was just going to be kind of a temporary job as I looked for a new teaching job, but it just kind of ended up being an even better fit for me. And so it's just, and I've stuck with it ever since. But I've been in it for 10 years now. I've just started my 11th year as personal trainer. And then this last year, I made the jump from personal trainer to business owner, where I'm a studio owner right now. And then my book that came out. So I mean, it's just been kind of I've definitely evolved over the 10 years in fitness. And, yeah, it's definitely just been a great fit for me.
Awesome. So I'm just happy you're here. And why do we have so many excuses for not making fitness and health a priority, no matter how busy we are? What do you think's going on?
Well, that's the thing. Kind of the reason I wanted to write the book. And, I had a lot of blogs and speeches that I've done, and they just kind of all had the same theme to it. And so when the book kind of became a thought in my head, what I did, it kind of goes with the introduction that you gave to us for the book. I had a poll. And what I did in my poll was I asked 25 people. I simply asked them the question, what are your top priorities in life? And the top two answers were family and career. Like by far top two answers. Faith was a pretty popular answer too. But nobody said anything about health and fitness. And I was blown away that of all that 25 random people, nobody said anything about health and fitness. And it just kind of occurred to me that it's always something that we tend to put off. Fitness is always a thing. If I would have reworded the question, if I would have asked, is exercise and nutrition important to you? I bet everyone would have said yes. No one would have said, no, that's not important. Everyone would have said yes. But no one seems to think they have any time for it. We always have so many other things going on in our life, and we think it's just, we use those obstacles as validation to ourselves that we just don't have any time for fitness right now. And so it always seems to be the thing we plan to get to later, and we just never get to it.
You are exactly correct. In my world and the work I do, and including myself, I worked out 5 or 6 days a week, and I can tell you in the past I did it because of the guilt and dysfunction I had with food. I ate all the processed food and sweets that I wanted, and I just beat myself up, literally. I felt so bad about what I ate. I would just go to the gym and work out for 2 hours a day just to rid myself of the guilt. It was a very yin and yang relationship between food and fitness for me for many, many years. And I don't know if I would have worked out at the time. The main thing for me was I just tell myself, I don't want to be fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the theme with most clients. It seems like we get on that's another theme I had with the book and reason I wanted to write it. So first it was just about making people make fitness a part of their life and making the realization that they, even though they're busy and they have obstacles just like all the rest of us, that they still can make fitness a permanent part of their life. And if they make that decision, their life will be better. But the other part of it is all my clients, it seemed like when I first got started, and my first half of my career in personal training, I would say they kind of fell into this yo-yoing pattern, where they would lose weight, put it back on. They'd get in great shape, and then they'd get out of their workout routine. And I kind of just realized that me not changing their mindset was really the whole problem. I guess what I mean by that, when they would come into me, I think when people come to a personal trainer, and if you've ever had a personal trainer or you've been in workout spurts before, you could probably back me up on this. But what we always kind of get started with short-term motivation. And so when someone comes to me, it could be that they just got engaged and they have a wedding they want to get in shape for, or maybe it's swimsuit season. That's a popular phrase that's coming up. So they want to get in shape for that, or they have a class reunion or a cruise or a vacation, or their birthday's coming up. And we always want to look the best when we get a year older. And so that's their motivation to get in fast shape, to get quick results.
I can tell you that our culture shapes our mind for that. I do a lot of work with mindset shifts, and I'm not a personal trainer, but I always tell my clients that it's what you're thinking about before you work out, or, the weight. It's all the thoughts around it. That's if you train your mind, then the body's going to follow.
Yeah.
I always say that. So it's so great that you're here to talk to us about how can we make fitness a top priority when we're so busy, because that's the biggest excuse I know.
Yeah. And I have in my book, one of my chapters is called Knock Out Your Obstacles Before They Become Excuses. And so basically in my book, I refer to excuses basically as obstacles, because that's really all an excuse is. It's just an obstacle you haven't overcome yet.
Exactly.
And so that's what I talk about in my book, that basically I'm an avid obstacle racer, and it just kind of, basically I just kind of got into it because I enjoy it, but it also it fits so well with everything I talk about. I mean, basically every speech I talk about with my clients, if I replace the word excuses with obstacles, I mean, it's still the same speech. Basically what I do in my book is I have my top 10 list of excuses I've had over the last 10 years in training. And just so like I put them in my book Letterman style, where they go from my 10 all the way down to 1, and I have some honorable mentions in there too.
Can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah. I'll go through some of the top ones here.
Just the top.
The top ones at the top, I don't know what I'm doing. And so that's an excuse I get from people all the time. And so it's a challenge when you try something new. But, I always remind people, you once didn't know how to drive a car. Or you once didn't know how to be a parent. You once didn't know how to do your job until you just did it. And so like anything, you will figure it out if you give it a shot. And then I have working out is so boring. I'm bored with my routine. And so that happens a lot when we kind of fall in love with one little routine and we don't ever change it. And so eventually it's going to start getting boring. I have stuff about being injured. So we always use an injury as a reason to not work out, or we use money being an excuse. And you don't have to have you don't need to have any money. Being fit doesn't cost a thing really if you just do the right things. I don't have the right exercise equipment. The top two, though, by far, are I'm too tired or I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Those are always the top two that we come to. And so with I'm too tired, I mean, that one basically everyone feels tired, but basically if you really feel tired, it's probably because you're out of shape. And so, I mean, as you get in a better workout routine, you'll get in better shape. But I do have a few tips I put in here for people that do have a problem with not having enough energy. And so the first one is to go to bed closer to sundown and get up closer to sunup. It could be just not getting enough sleep could be a big problem, and your body's natural clock just functions better on that schedule. And so then people always throw back to me that, I'm not a morning person, but if you don't change anything, you can't expect any changes to happen. So I would suggest trying to adjust your sleeping patterns better, but at least get more sleep. And the second one would be to eat real unprocessed food every 3 to 4 hours. So to get the processed foods out of your diet. A bad diet or a lack of fuel that's your energy right there. And so I would say the majority of people I have when I first start with them, I would say 70% of my clients when I first get started with them, they average 2.5 meals a day.
Wow.
2.5 meals a day. And so, and here's their schedule their eating schedule that's unhealthy. So maybe most people skip breakfast and then because they're rushing out the door to get to work, or some people just don't like to eat breakfast. So that's a mindset they got to change. And then, breakfast, everyone says it's an important meal of the day, but people don't really take a second to think about why. And the reason it is because it's the break of your fast. Your body doesn't turn off when you go to bed. So if you don't eat anything, say you eat dinner at 7 o'clock at night, and then you don't eat at 7 o'clock in the morning before you go to work, that's 12 hours without fuel. So think about how well your car would work if you didn't take care of it. You're running on fumes. And then if you don't eat till lunch, that's another 5 hours. And so, I mean, you're going to work and trying to do everything you need to do for the day, and you're not putting fuel in the tank. I mean, how you expect to be able to run to the top of your game?
I hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then normally it's you get the skipping breakfast or really light breakfast, and then a lunch, and then you're just so busy the rest of the day you don't have time to eat, and then you come home and you're starving, you eat a really big meal, and then go to bed. And that's pretty much everyone's normal routine.
Right. I can tell you, Chad, when I had this dysfunctional relationship with food, I experienced what you were saying about the food and all the feelings that you feel that are unhealthy, really, when you don't eat well. But fast forward 9 years ago, I became plant-based. Mm-hmm. And that totally, not only did that change my relationship with food and I have more energy, but it surprised me that all the mental chatter I had around my workout and all the guilt and all the craziness I felt around working out, it went away.
That's great. One of my trainers that works at the studio, he has a really good phrase he uses all the time with his weekly text he gives his clients, where it's eat with intentions. And I love that phrase because, I mean, we do, if we want to eat with intentions, basically what it means is if you're going to stick to your meal plan, then stick to your meal plan. If you're going to have a cheat meal, then do it intentionally and don't beat yourself up for it afterwards.
Okay.
I guess I do have another tip here for I'm too tired, and that is one that I'm guilty of. It's to limit caffeine to just the morning. I am guilty of drinking way too much coffee for sure. I love coffee. But believe it or not, that 2:30 feeling that we always see in those commercials, those 5-hour energy commercials, that 2:30 feeling of us being tired, it does not come from lack of coffee. It does not come from lack of caffeine. It comes from a lack of sleep or not having a reasonable nutrition plan or lack of moving. I mean, when majority of us have jobs where we get to sit at a computer for 8 hours a day. And so when you're not moving any more than that your body doesn't need any energy. So why is it going to give it to you? So just getting a little bit more moving, having a better diet, and getting more sleep is going to take away that problem of not feeling like you have any energy.
And I can relate to that feeling in the past, but what I do when I have to go to clients now, I get up like every hour and I walk for 10 minutes. If I'm busy, I'll walk for 10 minutes like 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So that because once I sit, it's like my body falls asleep. It starts hurting. So I have to get up and walk just to keep things moving.
Yeah, that's definitely good. I mean, in our meetup group we have here, we have a chiropractor, Kelly Baltuska, who's part of our fitness group here. And that's one thing he recommends is just like by at least every hour, you have to get up just for a walk around a little bit. And or there's stretches you can do at your desk. I mean, that pattern overload of just having to sit forward in a chair with your arms on a keyboard and your head looking forward to a screen, that's a lot of the problems of people. That's a lot of the reason people have low back pain, neck pain, that pattern overload. We're fighting a losing battle right off the bat with setting. It's like they say setting is the new smoking. So we have to fight back by getting out of the chair once.
Exactly. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, I've been in technology for many, many years, and most of my pain was always neck and shoulder and lower back pain. Those were the 3 main areas that whenever I went to the chiropractor, I got a massage, that I wanted them to focus because those were my pain points.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that kind of covers the I'm too tired part. The I'm too busy part on the other end of the spectrum. I talk about at the beginning, you mentioned in the introduction, all the same battles that all of us have. Like I travel all the time for work. I never know where I'm going, when I'm going. My job is so stressful. I don't have any energy left when I get home. There's so many scams in the health and fitness industry. I don't know who to listen to. It's too expensive to eat healthy. I don't have a gym. I wouldn't know what to do even if I had a gym to go to.
Do you think those are legitimate though? Who do I listen to and being expensive? Do you feel that there's a lot of confusion in the fitness and health industry?
Yeah, there is. A lot of it is for us being scammed by, we're easy prey, basically, because we want quick, fast results. That's our character. We want fast. That's the people we are these days. We want quick, fast results. And so, and we're so insecure. I mean, these people are experts in preying on our insecurities. And so if they convince us that something is going to work, then we'll spend anything on it to get it to work. Yeah. And so, but the problem is, I mean, just because, like the biggest issue I have is with celebrity endorsed scams. Those are and anytime anymore, I mean, sometimes they're using a celebrity's name and the celebrity doesn't even know anything about it. Or if they're putting their name on some product, I mean, there's some weight loss product. They were in great shape before the product was even invented.
Oh, I see that. So, I see that all the time in ads.
You know, I always tell my clients, you know, I'm a big fan of Sylvester Stallone, and there's a movie, the old movie he plays where he plays a mechanic, and it's a great movie, and he plays a great mechanic in the movie, but I still wouldn't hire him to fix my car.
Right.
So, right? I mean,
I like that.
If they make their money because they're on TV, then you don't need to get weight loss advice from them. In my opinion, they don't have any right to give it to you either.
Yeah, but you know, we live in a culture. Once you do one thing and you attract a lot of people, that's like a green light to do anything, whether you have experience or not. That's our culture today, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Along with the celebrities, it's just the endorsed scams that are out there trying to find an easy button to push. The other excuses that are really valid excuses, and sometimes, I mean, some of us have more obstacles than others, but if we have kids at home and your kids have activities going on every other night of the week, I mean, that makes it harder. Or if you just work long hours and you have a lot of travel for your work. But what I tell people is these obstacles aren't going away. So we use these obstacles as a reason to push fitness off till later, but the problem is that day you're waiting on when you'll have all this free time, that day does not exist. And that's the realization. I mean, you're never going to run out of excuses. You're never going to have a shortage of reasons that you can skip your workout or validate going through the drive-thru. And so, I mean, really the only way to win the battle is just to make a decision that you're going to make fitness a priority no matter what obstacles are in your way.
I can tell you, and this is just from my world, my experience, is it's like even if there's health involved where people have had heart attacks, strokes, they're so obese and the doctor's like, you need to work out, you need to make a change. Even that doesn't work.
Yeah.
for many people. It just doesn't work. It's like, I want to, I'll try, but it never gets done. And some of these people have had serious things happen to them, and they still can't start to work out. So what do you recommend? How do we make fitness and health our top priority?
Yeah. And sometimes it's coming to the realization. I mean, some people say you have to hit rock bottom before you can do it. Other times, I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's just coming to the conclusion. You have to change your mindset that you can't do it right now. And so one thing I ask people to do when they come in and see me and they sit down and talk to me for an hour, and just to kind of talk about their fitness goals and come up with a game plan, but they're not really ready to make another step after that because they don't think they can because they're so busy. Mm-hmm. I ask them there's an exercise I like to have people do, or just have them write down, of the people in their circle, the people that they know, write down the 5 people that they think have made fitness a priority in their life. And then then after they write down the 5 people, we're going to write down all the obstacles that they have that I mentioned in the book. How many of them have kids? How many of them have kids that have multiple activities going on every other night of the week? How many of them are single parents? How many of them have jobs? How many of them have jobs where they have to travel? How many of them have to have no gym membership and they do their fitness at home? All these people that you write down have the same obstacles that you have that you think is stop holding you back from getting fit. But they have the same obstacles, and some of them have more, and they're still able to do it. And the only difference between them and you is that they made a decision to do it. And so when you start thinking that way, then you can see that there's really nothing holding you back but your mindset. And so once you decide that you can do it, then it becomes a lot easier.
I like that. We all need encouragement for a lot of things. So it sounds like when the people write down that information and they look at other people, it certainly gives them ideas and awareness of how they can also start making fitness a top priority.
It's that if they can do it, I can do it kind of thing. Sometimes you need some examples to follow sometimes.
That's awesome. I really like that. And I'm just so happy that you're here giving us tips on how we can make health and fitness a priority in our lives, because we're in a culture where it's an all hands on deck world. We need everyone, people like you, to help us, because the healthcare industry, that is not the answer, I feel. It's going to be each one of us doing our part to become healthier. So it's just so great that you do this work.
My book and what I do for a living, what it is, it's preventive healthcare. So the problem that, we have these days, most of the illnesses, most of the medical health issues that we have are all preventable just by making fitness a priority in your life. And so that's why this is so important, just people changing their mindset and making fitness a bigger part of their life and just making little changes. So one of the things I want people to get when they read my book is that I want them to learn how to make a priority for the rest of their life. And so most people I talked about at the beginning, they come to me with short-term goals. And so for the first several years I was a trainer, I helped hundreds of people reach these short-term goals. And it was really rewarding. But what became the bad part to it is that I saw so many of these people months later just losing all those results. And the reason was, it's not because they couldn't do it. They proved they could do it and with all that hard work they did to get their goals. But once their goal was hit, their event came and gone, whether it be their wedding, their vacation, their swimsuit season, or their reunion, whatever it is. Once that event came and gone, all their motivation left with it because that's all they focused on. And so getting people to change their mindset where this is going to be a long-term thing and helping them learn what their why is, what their reason for being fit is, what's their dig deep to find out what they're important, why they really want to make fitness a better part of their life. Is it because it increases their confidence? Is it because it makes them feel better? Maybe it could be that they want to be able to be more mobile and be around for their grandkids, or whatever the reason is, to help them identify that reason so they can think past their short-term goals and think long-term, so this can be a permanent part of their life.
Wow, that sounds so awesome. I want to thank you for being here and giving us your expert knowledge on fitness and health and how we can overcome our excuses and make fitness a priority in our lives. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
And if anyone's interested in Chad Austin's information, his website, his book links will be in the show notes for this episode. And I want you to know what you guys think about this show. So please leave a comment on the website or leave a voicemail. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals. This podcast is sponsored by DianeRandallConsults.com. If you like this show, the best way to support it is by leaving 5-star feedback on iTunes. And please, feel free to email your questions, comments, and suggestions to feedback@DianeRandallConsults.com. Until next week, namaste.